everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Believe in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me today is former offensive lineman for the Indianapolis Colts and a few other teams, Donald Thomas. Donald, welcome to the show, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come on here and give us your thoughts, share some of your history, and possibly get into the game this upcoming weekend.
Man, thanks for having me. I'm excited to get into it all and talk about the Colts and what the season has in store, and a little bit about me and the stories and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to be here. So thank you.
Absolutely. So before we get into it, I just want to remind everybody that BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, NFL, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember, use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Did I read Wiki right? You didn't actually know you were going to play football till you already were at UConn?
Yeah. So that's it. That's like a story like I feel like everybody needs to know, like to set the groundwork. But I didn't play football. Literally, I never played football until I got to UConn. So I walked on. First time I put a helmet on, it was I was 18 years old. The first time I put a helmet on, I put it on wrong. I didn't know what I was doing out there on the field. I mean, I was just out there running around, just trying to do whatever I saw the older guys do. So yeah, it was a whirlwind to say, like, going from doing that, being that guy, to 3 years later getting drafted. It was crazy.
Wow.
It happened fast, man. It happened really fast. And I was like, I never took anything for granted in my career. I was just always thankful for the next step, because I wasn't supposed to be here, in a sense. Like, everybody kind of not counted me out, but nobody counted me in, because no one even knew. Like, I'll come home like when I was in the league. I come back because I'm from Connecticut originally. I'll come home and people be like, man, this is crazy. Like, watching the game and seeing you out there, like, you never even played football before. Like, where is this coming from? And I'm like, I'm just doing what I guess I'm supposed to be doing right now. Just playing football. So it was fun. It was a fun experience, to say the least, because it happened so fast. But I was grateful for, like, all of it. I'm saying? I started really taking it in and realizing that this is like a real thing for me. Like, this isn't, now the fairy tale ride is over with. Now you're in the grind, because this is like real live bullets, and it's for money, and it's big boy football. You're really on TV every week, and it was just a great experience. So I will never, through the injuries I suffered, like I still, to this day, I'm still thankful for this opportunity. And if the injuries are part of the deal, we get it. So I never wake up and I'm like, I should have never played football. I've never said that. So just the limitations that my body has now, I'm like, I'll take it.
Yeah, I understand. I have a lot of I personally have a ton of respect for anyone who had major injuries and then fought through it. Now, I understand having the injuries when you're already at the NFL level and fighting through it, because you're like, the money's there, right? Available if you could get through. But still, that takes a lot of heart to be able to push through and get through that mental block of, oh my goodness, I could get injured again. Seeing guys like you, fighting through and trying to continue on. I saw that you had the same injury back to back, which is kind of what ended up happening with you, right? That freaking blows, dude.
Man, it was horrible. It was like the first time it happens, I'm like, it happened in the game. And the crazy part is, a lot of people don't even know this story. You want to know a crazy story, so I already kind of see it. But I tore my bicep. You kind of see the scar, but I tore my bicep. Probably like 3 or 4 plays. Let's set the record. Nobody outside of, if you know me personally, knows this story, right? So, excuse me. I'm in the game, and we're playing Miami. I'm with the Colts, and I'm blocking. and Ahmad Bradshaw releases out of the backfield, and he's going to give me like an extra chip block as he releases.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm blocking my guy, and he comes and hits the dude on my left side. So like he flies out this way, but I'm not expecting a chip. So when the dude goes out here, my arm gets extended, and you can see it better right there.
Oh
But
yeah.
my arm gets extended, and I tear my bicep, right? And so like I felt it rip, and I was like, man, like I knew because I saw it rolling up, up my arm, my bicep. So I like it's crazy. Like I took it and I like pushed it back down like this. And one of the guys looked at me and was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Nothing." I was like, "Come on." We got back in the huddle, and I knew it was torn because every time I tried to like flex it, I could feel it roll. But I was like, "All right, cool. If I stay here, I'm good." The minute that I extend like this, I felt it roll up. So I'm like, "All right, fine, whatever." Like make it to the halftime, see if I can get like some type of brace put on it. But I'm not coming out the game, right? 3 plays later, I'm blocking a guy. Boom. I felt someone get leg whipped into me. And I drop down, and like the pain is like intensifying as I'm rolling around on the ground. I'm like, I guess this is like what it feels like to tear your ACL. Because I'm like, I felt like I tore something. I felt something pop in my knee. So I'm laying there, and they come out, they do the ACL test, and they're like, ACL's intact, it's fine. They're like, do me a favor, like, can you bend your knee up? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. So I go to bend my knee, and I felt like my whole quad roll up in my leg. And I was like, put it. And I tried to put my leg back down. I couldn't put it back down. So he manually had to put it back down. And so then the doctor stuck his thumb on the top of my kneecap, and it just sunk all the way in. Like it just like if this is the top of your kneecap, it just went like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he looked up. He's like, quad tendon. And I'm like, quad tendon. And so then he's like, yeah, go get the cart. And I'm like, oh. So they go get the cart. So I'm laying there, and mind you, it's my right leg. So my right leg is stretched out, and my arm is like this. So I'm just like laying on the ground, right? So one of the other trainers, Kyle, he's still there with the Colts now. I'm looking up, and I'm like, Kyle, he's like, what's up, buddy? And this is stuff people don't know, right? He's like, what's up, buddy? I'm like, hey, man. I'm like, I think I tore my bicep too. He's like, what? Like that, right? And I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, and he's like, make a muscle now. Did like this, and it rolled. Oh, okay, buddy, like that. And that was just like that was a rough game. That was a tough pill to, swallow, kind of with the injury, and then it kind of came back the next year, and it happened again during training camp. And I was on I was like a 25 play count per practice, rep count, and I was on play number 23, and the ones came out. So I'm thinking I'm good for the rest of practice. Well, lo and behold, they wanted me to be the starting guard and then the backup center. If something happens to the backup to our center, I'll slide over to center. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, all right, so I'm taking my stuff off. I'm like, we're done. It's like the 2s and 3s are going. And then our coach is like, the line coach at the time, Joe, he's like, Donald, I want you to take these next 2 reps at center. I'm like, come on, Joe. I'm like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. Like, you want to push it all the way to 25. Like, 23 is okay. So I went in for play 24. I was fine. And play 25, it just gave out on me again, and I was out. So that's how it kind of went down with the injury kind of deal. And I know it was tough just because, I came with such high hopes to kind of revamp that line the year prior with what Grigson was adding on to, the pieces of the puzzle. And, granted, a lot of people that know me in my career knew like the prior pre-Colts down Thomas, like, I'm saying, I could play, right? And so, when I got here, I wasn't able to really showcase that fully, just because that's that's the way the cookie crumbled. And what can you do at sometimes when it happens? It just happens, and that's the tough part for players. That's a tough pill for players to swallow, but it's also a tough pill, for players for players' perspective, because they know what it feels like, but the fans don't. The fans just want to see you out there, being productive. What are you worth to the team? Help us win, not some guy that's hurt. Why are you hurt? You're a bum, blah, 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 blah. But you don't know. It's like, I don't want to be hurt either. Like, I don't want to be getting surgeries.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was married at the time, and my wife, I can't help her. She's pregnant at the same time. And so we have a 2-year-old, and she's pregnant. I can't even take the trash out. She's doing it all. Like, my daughter came and I had my brace on. I hadn't driven a car in 4 or 5 months. I had to rip the brace off, throw my leg in the car, and drive her to the hospital because her water broke and she was having contractions. Like, you know what I'm
Oh
saying? Crazy
my.
stuff like that. Just part of the deal. You're a human being too, you know, at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So people got to realize that sometimes.
Oh my. Okay.
I'm the real, like, listen, I'm the most transparent person you ever meet ever. Like, that's just me. I don't care.
That's
I'll talk about it all. Like, I'll talk about divorce, kids, custody, what I do now, whatever, man. I like to just be real because people don't think that you have the same issues they have and stuff like that. It's just like, I just
yeah.
happen to be a guy that was good in football at the same time. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's good at something, right?
Yeah,
And
right. Yeah. Yeah.
you were an athlete. That's what you were really good at, being an athlete. Dude, from what I saw, you were good at multiple different sports. It's just football came calling and paid you, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you ask me, I was the next Aaron Judge or the next, you know, I grew up a Yankees fan from Connecticut. So, like, you know, I was all about Wade Boggs and Darryl Strawberry and all those dudes and, you know, the Yankees of the 90s, the powerhouse and the world champion. So I was engulfed in baseball. Like, baseball was my life. I love baseball. Like,
Oh,
nothing
wow.
was better to me than baseball. If I could play baseball from sun up to sundown, my mom would have to drag me in the house. Like, I just love playing the game. So, but I just was really just excelled in football once I finally got a chance to put a helmet on. I was actually halfway decent at it, and so it kind of worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were talking a little bit beforehand, and oh my goodness, you have went through it, my guy. Wow. It kind of, from what I'm gathering, it came very fast. Football came very fast and hectic for you, and it pretty much, it seemed like it ended the same way, right? Just different level, but very fast and hectic kind of ended for you at that spot. What was some of the most important things, I'm curious about, that you had learned through that period where football was very prevalent in your life?
You know, one of the main things that I learned is you have to be able to you control what you control, right? And you can't worry about anything else. You have to just control the controllables, and you have to take out the politics of the game. And what I learned is, you know, through my career, you know, I was always up against the eight ball, so to speak, right? I was a walk on at UConn, never having any football experience. So I stepped on campus, to earning a scholarship my senior year, coming back for a fifth year, and then getting drafted into NFL in 3 years. It's a very short amount of time. But I always just took the politics out of it, right? And so there's a lot of politics in the game. That's in any sport. And I tell people all the time, like, take the politics out of the game, right? Be that good, right? Play that hard, right? Just work your butt off so that you don't worry about the politics. And they have to put you on the field. They have to put you in the game at some point, and you just have to show up. That's it, man. You know, one of those things where I tell the kids that I'm coaching, training, guys that I talk to, take the politics out of it. Control what you can control, and everything else should take care of itself, right? And then to just be patient and just work your butt off and just keep your head down. And it's never good enough. It's never good enough to reach that plateau and think you've made it, because you guys got to keep pushing, because in this game, we know in the NFL, it's not for long, and it's who else we can replace you with that's cheaper and younger and better. And you have to be able to understand that part of the game too, so you can continue to perform as well, because they're trying to replace you no matter what. They give you a brand new contract, but if they find somebody that's cheaper, he's waiting in the wings. The minute you kind of slip up or get injured, he's going in the game, and then he takes off, right? So, you know.
Absolutely. I've heard that from a few people actually that have talked about that. Something else that I've talked with a lot of people is Grigson, right? Now, this is a guy who come in 2012, tried to rebuild after the Peyton Manning era, right? Was over with, brought in some new faces, hired a few people. There's multiple different ways that people looked at Ryan Grigson. You had some guys who were like, you know what, I won't say anything bad about him because he gave me a job, right?
Right.
And then there are others that are very outspoken against him, even though he gave him the job. Like, say, I don't know, Pat McAfee, for one, is a guy who's very outspoken against Ryan Grigson. But there's multiple different looks at this. I'm curious, what was your experience in the locker room and maybe personal one-on-ones with guys around you when you were with the Indianapolis Colts? What was your experience like here?
I'll say this to start off with what you said, right? Grigson took a lot of heat.
Mm-hmm.
Grigson, he took a lot of heat, and people don't realize, or some people do, but to be a general manager of a professional team where you have to take actual living human beings and try to figure out if that piece works in the puzzle and if it fits, it's not easy, right? And Grigson, I feel like, got a lot of bad rap because of that, right? But I feel like he just made aggressive decisions that he felt like he went with his gut more than really analyzing to see if this is going to work. He wanted to revamp the offensive line, and
Mm-hmm.
We tried it, right? I got hurt, and so that was a knock on Grigson, right? But I got hurt, right? The Trent Richardson deal. I mean, there's a reason why they're willing to give away a first round pick so easily that they just got. Sometimes you have to back off on that, right? And you have to listen to what the people are saying about a player, and that can set a franchise back. And in my opinion, it really kind of did set a franchise back a little bit with the draft picks, what we gave up for them, and all that kind of stuff. But that's neither here nor there. To answer your question about the locker room and guys, it was an interesting group of guys at the time. Everybody pretty much got along for the most part. There were guys that felt like some guys should have been there because of Grigson's moves and stuff like that. But for the most part, at the end of the day, we all agreed to get one thing accomplished, and that was to try to win football games. And so I had a great experience in the locker room with a lot of the guys that were there. I got welcomed with open arms, and I was coming from New England at the time. Coming here is like you going from one to the other, and it's like that's not something that is looked upon. It's actually kind of frowned upon. But at the end of the day, I looked at it as, listen, I'm in this thing as it's a business decision. What's going to be best for me and my family in the long run. And so guys, and then everyone in the locker room gets it, right? It's the fans, everybody else is like, I can't believe you came from New England, or I can't believe you would go there. And it's like everyone, the players are like, hey, what's up? We get it. Like, come on over. Let's go beat them next year, right? So, that's just how it is. But I had a great experience. The time I spent here was great. Everybody was the city was great. Where I live at, everyone was welcoming. Once I got asked two famous questions, right? First one is, how's Tom Brady? What's Tom Brady like? And then how is Belichick? And once we got past those two questions, then it was like, all right, cool, right? And so we kind of we could move past that and just talk regular. So, but yeah, man, I had a great time with the Colts. Great time.
Oh, that's awesome. And from a fan perspective, that you hit it on the head. It's like the two opposites, right? Especially during that time when Tom was still playing and Peyton, just went over to the Broncos, and that whole situation that was going on. The fan base was very, I don't know what you say, not very fond of anyone out of New England, right? But again, you talked about earlier, I think before we started recording, players are people too, and it's just it's a job for you guys, right? It's your livelihoods, and you're just going from one place to another, trying to make your life, continue your employment and, provide for you and your family. So, from that aspect, I think fans should kind of back off a little. I remember when Reggie Wayne, when he played his last year as a Colt, and he went over to New England, right? Oh, wow. Could you imagine how the fans, because he was like a hometown hero here, right? And now he's got a New England Patriots uniform on, practicing with them during training camp, So people just need to, as you say, back off a little bit and kind of see things from a human perspective in this, and at least some of the time. Come on, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was no love loss that he had with the Colts. It was just one of those things where he didn't think he was done playing football. He wasn't ready to be done just yet. And, the Colts were like, well, it's time for us to move on. We love you. And he was like, all right. And Belichick was like, well, let me kick the tires on old Reggie and see if Reggie still has it and wants to play. And then within like a week or so, Reggie called me. People don't know this story, right? Reggie called me and it was like, hey, because he knew how I came from New England, right? He was like, hey, man. He was like, I don't know about this one. I was like, what? He was like, it's too strict up here, right? He was like, oh, we running all the time after practice, stuff like that. But when you have a player that's in one spot for so long and he's accustomed to it being a certain way, and then you come to, somewhere else where it's so different, not in just the winning culture, because, he had a heck of a run with the Colts winning, but with the way they do things, right? I mean, like in his era when they won the Super Bowl and all that, they had a certain way they did things. And when we won in New England, we had a certain way of doing things. And Belichick isn't changing because his way works. He wasn't used to that. So it didn't mesh. And I think he realized, like, I can't run with these young boys anymore, all the above. So he kind of, figured it out by then that he was done.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the upcoming game, Colts hosting the Jaguars, is there anything that you would like to share with the viewers, a story or something that you want to discuss? If I don't know, especially if you happen to have anything that you support when it comes to like a charity or something of that nature as well, because I always ask players and former players if they have anything that they really focus on and support, to go ahead and share that as well. So any stories or any charities that you support, feel free, go ahead and let these people know a little bit about it.
Yeah, no. So I'm not currently involved with any charities right now at the moment. I was involved when I was with the Colts. There was a great charity, and it's actually still active and going on now. It's called Boys to Men, and it was a great mentorship, kind of like, if you would take, for instance, it was kind of a more so like a urban Boy Scouts in a sense, right? Like they're taking these young boys and putting them through these programs and grooming them into fine young men. And I still keep in touch with the guy, the president who runs Boys to Men. They're still active. It's a great organization. And so I really applaud those kind of, those kind of platforms that allow to give, our underprivileged youth really a chance to see things that are more than what they see on a regular day basis, and kind of strive to be great, because a lot of them don't see the only way that they can be great is to play a sport. And it's way more than that, right? Like if I could go through what I went through and understand the other side of the game and what's past the game, how important it is to establish yourself, in the community and in your career and all that kind of stuff. These are the programs that help those boys see that, right? To not have to think that they just have to be able to bounce a ball, catch a ball, or hit a ball to be successful or to make it out, of the inner city, or be, make money. There's way more opportunities to. So that's the one that I've been involved with in the past. Just another like initiative I have is just being able to, I coach my son's 5th and 6th grade travel team, actually with Gary Brackett. I'm with Gary every day.
Awesome.
His son is in 6th grade with mine, and so we coach the same team together. But yeah, so I just like to give back to the youth, right? I feel like the knowledge that I have for the game, the teachings that I was able to receive, like if I didn't give it back to the youth football level, so I can build a good foundation, because honestly, I mean, not knocking anybody, because we all volunteer at this level. There's a lot of people that really don't know what they're talking about, and they're setting a bad foundation of football. And so I always told my son, and whoever comes in contact on the teams that he's on is going to be, listen, I'm going to give you the game from a high level perspective, but we're going to build a great foundation. So no matter when you've gone from me, you understand the game better, you have better technique, better fundamentals, better skills, just an overall better understanding of the game and what to expect and how to attack it and approach it. And then you'll get as much as you can out of your football experience. So that's my initiative now, with helping to give back. I guess it's all youth, man. It's just all making sure that the kids that come from behind, when we're long and gone, they can give back as well. Is my main objective.
Well, that's a fantastic objective, though. I mean, you're investing into the future, of the human race. So, exactly. So I think that's a wonderful thing to do. All right. Well, thanks again. Hope to talk to you again sometime in the future, hopefully soon. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Donald Thomas. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?